Internet of Things is a game changer. As more devices become connected, global spending on IoT will grow to $1.3 trillion this year, according to IDC. Because so many connected things are involved, many companies are understandably centering their IoT strategies primarily around technology. Yet IoT isn't a technology solution, but rather a technology enabler for companies to create new business models and become more operationally efficient. Hello and welcome to this audio webcast titled The IoT Reality and Real Deployments, brought to you by Capgemini and IDG. My name's Tom Schmidt, Digital Content Director at IDG Strategic Marketing Services, and I'll be the host for this webcast. Joining me is Thierry Batu, Director of Capgemini's Digital Engineering and Manufacturing Services IoT business line. Thierry has 30 years of program management, IT architecture, and service management experience in IT integration and business services delivery. He currently develops use cases and deployments for Capgemini's XIoT platform. Hello, Thierry.
Hi, Tom. Hi, everybody. I'm excited to share with you insight about the IoT market and the related best practices.
Excellent. Also joining me is Carl Wachswender, IoT Technical Sales Specialist with Intel's Programmable Solutions Group. Carl's primary focus is on industrial, manufacturing, and smart retail, and he's worked as a system architect for the past 3 years. Welcome, Carl.
Hello, Tom. And hello to the audience. I'm proud to present these IoT topics with our Intel Alliance partner, Capgemini.
Excellent. Thierry, you and Carl plan to cover a lot of ground today, so can you give us a quick overview of what's on your agenda?
Yes, sure, Tom. So, if I may say, we have two parts of it. One is related to the IoT market itself, whether it's state of the IoT across the industries, of what's new, it's ongoing on the IoT and will, I would say, raise in the coming years, and what are the IoT customer pain points. And that's really, as a summarize where we stand in terms of IoT market. On the other side, what we want to share with the audience is about our various assets that both Capgemini and Intel have built in that market. So we'll talk about the IoT reality and the real deployments, which we've already made and which are ongoing. About the real deployments, we will talk about our successes in various industries. And finally, we will talk about the next steps to the IoT deployment.
Excellent. So let's dig into where we stand today and the state of IoT across various industries.
Yeah, so let's start by talking about IoT across industries. If I summarize, it is riding on expansion. Key subject is about the fact that IoT is surfing on the digitalization wave. Multiple studies mention that by 2020, we will have more than 2 billion devices connected, which is really a turn in that space. The key driver for this extension of devices is the fact that the numbers of industry which are using IoT is expanding, and at the same time, there is more and more use cases which are implemented. So increase of the movement is really driven by the fact that industries are moving from proof of concept or proof of value to real production. This is the second hot topic for the company agenda. And this is really what is making the change compared to the previous years, where now it's normal. Why should I use IoT? It's about how should I use IoT. In addition to these various trends, the point is more than cloud solution, which has been, I would say, taking the lead over the last years. The edge capabilities become crucial for many industries, which need also to have various analytics or various use cases taking place at the edge and not only on the cloud.
Great. So Thierry, let's move on to what's new in IoT and also what's on the horizon.
So there is 4 new topics arriving in the IoT market. The first one is the arrival of the 5G. 5G is going to change quite a lot and enable more and more use cases. 2 main reasons for this. The first one is about the fact that 5G will bring low latency for use cases, and many of them will need that kind of solution in order to be viable. First example is autonomous cars that will need that kind of solution. It will be also on the Industry 4.0 to have some SCADA features taking place on the edge and multiple of them. This is also related to one of the features which is correlated. It is the slicing that allows to have a quality of service, or if I may say, reserve the bandwidth for multiple use cases. Second topic is about the ecosystem that are under construction. Multiple studies has mentioned that the current 500 more IoT platform that there is at the moment, and we could talk about what is behind these 500, will reduce to 5 or 6 in the coming 5 years. So this is why the ecosystem will be created. It has to cover all the IoT value chain from the device to the analytics. And that's why when we are talking about IoT platform, we should take care about what it covers in terms of IoT value chain. The second related topic is the need for integration. We need to have an already integrated solution in order to save time and to provide out-of-the-box solution for various use cases. And one correlation to the ecosystem is somehow define some kind of standard. Today, you have some of the competitors which are going through that path, which is providing various standard, or let's say definition. It's not yet standard, but it could become, which allows to aggregate that various partners among the IoT value chain in order to create this ecosystem. Third point is about the fact that all companies want to have or have to have their special connected product or services. Newcomers will directly provide such kind of solution. Existing incumbents have to create their own product in order to stay on the market. So it corresponds to non-standard deployment because it is focusing on specific products. It's focused mainly on operation efficiencies or new services, which are the 2 main drivers to deliver to the market connected product. First is be able to get or to gain saving on the way operations are done, or the second is about providing new services to customers, which will result as new business and new revenue for existing companies. And I will hand over to Carl for the 4th item.
Thank you, Thierry. And the last point is workload consolidation. With the OT and IT convergence is more or less the main step for a workload consolidation. And with this, we get more questions around software management and also security management. And this allows then to deploy workloads into the IoT system. And these workloads could be machine learning, analytics use cases, or AI.
Terrific. Thierry and Carl, we're seeing lots of activity and new developments, obviously. Let's pause for a bit and talk about some of the main customer pain points.
Good question, Tom. So pain points could be summarized by these 5 bullet points. The first one is definitely about the security and deploying more and more devices that somehow could be intrusive by many ways, whether it's getting data, personal data about health, for example, which is about having some devices in your house to monitor that there is no intrusion, including a camera that could provide externally some view of your house, which is about for insurance to get the data on how the drivers are behaving. So all these information needs to be secured to avoid any other unauthorized bodies or people to get that or these informations. So security end-to-end from the device to the central solution, whether it's cloud or on-premise, needs to be addressed. For sure, not at the same level of security depending on the use case, but definitely have to be considered. And this is one of the key pain points of the customer, which are often, as I mentioned, started with a POC, and for these didn't care about the security. And when they go to mass deployment, realize that they need to put this end-to-end security in place in order to be able to answer to their customer about the fact that the data which are collected will not be used by any unauthorized or unplanned entities or people or whatever. Second topic about customer pain is scaling up. As I mentioned, moving from POC to mass deployment, it's also a key attention point. You don't go from some hundred of devices to multiple hundreds of thousands of devices easily. And you have to have in mind from the beginning that you will go in that kind of scale, and you have to review all the components you put in place via such kind of vision. And often what happens is customers are focusing to get only the first level of numbers, and they just state that solution is okay. But as an example, when you have to manage the commissioning of even 10,000 of devices, if you have not a well automated solution, it can become quite easily a nightmare. So scaling up is definitely the second main pain point of the customer. And as I mentioned, it's really related to the fact that moving from POC to mass deployment somehow raised concern or new concern that were not addressed or not envisaged in the first phase, which were POC. The third topic around pain point for customer is the fact that customers have thought to their first use case. So they have implemented a full stack in order to address their first use case. It works well, you've put security on, you scale up, everything is okay. Now comes the second use case. And the second use case, IoT use case, could be fully different, has nothing to do with the first one, and could impact heavily the solution that has been built. Therefore, having the ability to seamlessly manage multiple use cases at the same time become crucial, because the customer do not want to end up having multiple vertical solutions for each of their use case, which will increase their cost in terms of run, which will need more resources and more skills to manage all these various platforms, and will prevent from crossing data for each of the use case to create bigger analytics and somehow get more value of the data that will be collected. So having the ability to seamlessly manage all the use case is something that's raised once you've implemented your first or second use case. Fourth point is the integration of new technologies. IoT is on its way, and it's just the beginning of the journey. So every day, new technology are coming, whether it's on the devices, as we mentioned with 5G on the network, on the cloud with multiple new solutions coming. So you have also to think in an agile way so that you can integrate this new technology quite easily. And often, once again, customer has been focusing to get the first version of the use case delivered, taking some solution that is not able to cope with the integration of new one coming. Finally, the last pain point is devices and connectivity. Due to multiple use cases, each of them will need a specific device which will have its own connectivity, whether it's protocol or communication network or telco, and all this has to be taken at a global level, having the ability to integrate once again smoothly all these various devices. So for this device and connected diversity, it will be about related to a new use case, how I integrate it in the existing solution, which have not necessarily been structured, organized to manage that diversity.
Great insights, Thierry. So now let's delve into the IoT solution that's the result of the strategic partnership between Capgemini and Intel. And our audience will be really eager to hear about those real-world deployments and the use cases you mentioned at the top of the webcast.
Yes, Tom. So as a result of all the various projects we've implemented together with Intel, we've created on Capgemini side two big assets, which I'm going to talk about. So the first one is our XIoT solution. We recognize over the various projects we implemented that we were needing that platform which for us is limited to the acquisition layer, which means that we need to have a solution which is able to be agnostic in multiple ways. The first one is about device and protocol, and that's resonated to the previous pain points we identify, which is be able to integrate any type of devices with any type of protocol. The second is about the fact that we have to be cloud agnostic, which is today there is multiple cloud provider. Each customer has built or started to build its own solution or selected their own cloud provider, and therefore you need to be able to cope with all these various environments, which could be also on-premise. Some of our customers, due to the fact that they want to keep hands on their data, do not want them to be published in any cloud, and therefore want to keep in their own environment. Third topic is to be hardware agnostic. This platform needs to be able to run on any hardware. This is why we have developed our solution on Java. And that's, I would say, that's for the technical part of it. On a more business standpoint, two main things around agnostic is to be use case agnostic, which means that platform needs to be able to manage multiple type of use cases at the same time. And finally, has to be sector agnostic, which means they are able to cope with multiple type of analytics that will run on top of that acquisition layer. So we build this platform in order to be somehow the basement for the implementation of any use cases. As such, our platform address also the security end-to-end because we identified that it was a key topic and key pain point. It's highly scalable, so you can start with some devices and can go to hundreds of thousands of devices without any issue. It's rapid device deployment, which means you can really scale up very quickly. And two additional topics, which we didn't really touch upon on the pain points, the ability to get the edge analytics, which is one of the topics we identify in the beginning, and also be able to provide this platform as a service, which is you can run it on your own, or Capgemini can provide you that platform as a service, which allows to get much more faster in the deployment of an IoT use case. The second asset, which is more related to the methodology, is related also to the numbers of projects we already implemented, and which has, I would say, give us the experience to guide our new customer on the path to implementing an IoT strategy and not only an IoT use case. And by IoT strategy, it's really about identifying the goals, and related to these goals, identify and prioritize use cases, which means you don't start with only one, but with multiple, that you define an order to implement them, which have a consequence on how you will structure. And then you will start by the first use case that you will implement. That will be your MVP or the new use case. You will evaluate the result because some use cases sometimes do not fly. I mean, you don't get the ROI you expected, or the thought you had about the benefit of the new services are not there, and you need to get this result quite quickly in order to go to the, or not to go to the rollout. And this is a recurring activity, which is once you've deployed one use case, then you come back to your roadmap, which was the list of use cases with the prioritization. Potentially, you can revise the prioritization. You can add new use cases. All this has to be structured and organized so that the company has a clear understanding of its, I will say, goal in terms of IoT strategy. This is definitely the second asset, which is not related to technology, but which is related to methodology, which is key in order to succeed in the implementation of the IoT strategy. I will hand over to Carl about what are the assets that Intel have built together with us.
Thank you, Thierry. So a main vehicle in the IoT strategy is edge computing. So what is driving IoT edge computing? So multiple barriers preventing IoT workloads from simple running in the cloud and drive the needs in the edge compute. You have the different flavors of IoT, from the video surveillance over industry, healthcare, smart city, retail, and also transportation. And in all these different segments, you find different challenges. And it starts from volume of data sending up to the cloud, going to the latency, and it's driven by automotive and also industrial. Latency to the cloud is too long. Also, risk on the communications, or not really the same environment of the communications. Then you end up sometimes in a discussion, private and public data. Where should the data live, in the edge, or should it go up in the cloud? Also, as Thierry said before, lower the TCO, like CAPEX and OPEX. It's a main topic. And the last point, don't forget AI. If AI runs in the cloud, you have some latency, and in transportation, it's not allowed to have a latency if you make a decision, for example, in a car. So this is more or less the challenges what we see. If you take the example, digital transformation and workload consolidation in the industrial environment, then you see on the left-hand side a machine with 10 or more PLCs. And the trend is there to make the workload consolidation, to reduce the PLCs in these machines and reduce the cost with this. And for this, you're ending up in an industrial PC environment, or edge compute, or edge server, or edge gateway, whatever the name is. Everybody knows there are real-time challenges in machines, or FUSA, like safety environments. That's the main topic there. And to run all the 6 different pillars, what you see in the middle there, it's very easy to run it on different PLCs. But if you put everything on one PC and make everything in a virtual environment, that ends up in a lot of challenges, and we solve this with Capgemini. On this slide, you see the Capgemini solution with Intel. In the top right corner, you see the XIoT central software in the cloud that's connected over a standard protocol, what you know from the IT world, to gateways, to edge computes. You see there is black box with Intel FPGA logo in the top, and you have there the different protocols below, and this should be managed in this black box. This black box can run different workloads like FUSA, like virtualization, like machine learning or AI. And with this box, we enable the IoT edge compute with the Capgemini XIoT software and connect to the industrial protocols, what you see on the left-hand side.
So let's talk about the real deployment successes that we have achieved together with Intel. There is many of them. I just try to summarize some key ones. So the first one is our collaboration with BHG in order to implement an XIoT-based control panel for plant operation. Today we have 8 plants and more than 550 machines which are connected, and the platform is able to manage more than 4,000 data delivery every second. Here is one example of the integration of both XIoT as an acquisition layer, and on top a business application which is dealing with control panel for plant operation. It is special because it's a joint initiative between Capgemini and BHG that provided both sides the asset in order to build a full solution which is now available on the market for other customers. Second success is about a major oil company which is using XIoT as the IoT collection platform. As I mentioned here, it's really the ability to collect data not for SCADA purpose at the moment, but for all other related IoT use case, whether it's on the downstream or the upstream, in order to run on the edge or on the cloud analytics, to do asset control and monitoring, and to do the maintenance on these various platforms, whether it's downstream or upstream, whether it's an offshore platform or it's a refinery. The ROI of the first use case, which was the MVP, was only 3 months, which was able therefore to demonstrate to the management that there were a real benefit of introducing the IoT in their strategy. And for the 2 first one, we were more in, I would say, in the industry. Here, the third one is about the utility, and it's about a nuclear plant operator, which is using XIoT to track and monitor worker safety during maintenance operation within the nuclear plant. It was the ability to identify where located some of the assets to reduce the time of looking for these assets in the plant when the workers were doing their job. Also related to utility, renewable energy operator use XIoT to collect the data from household to optimize the energy usage produced for these customers, which were using, in fact, a solar panel on their rooftop. It includes, again, a full system that monitors the gateway and multiple devices, and which has allowed these renewable energy operator to build on top this application, which help them in defining what are the best tuning and parameters to optimize this consumption. Last success, which is about to be deployed by a safe home service company, is the ability to collect the data for at the target 300,000 households of devices which will be both cameras and devices. So that include a new type of data, which is video compared to the others. And once again here, the middleware XIoT allows to collect all these data to provide to this company the ability to monitor all these households. And there is more of successes which can be in multiple type of sectors, whether it's automotive, railway, energy and utility, and medical devices. So we've spent some time together in order to review these two main areas, which was about what is the IoT market trend and what Capgemini together with Intel can bring on the table in order to help any customer to implement their IoT strategy. Now, if a customer wants to start an engagement, the key advice I will give them will be about what is their IoT strategy, how they combine it on a business and on an IT point of view, what they are looking for in terms of ROI or what type of use case they want to implement first. That will be definitely the kind of question that will be the starting point to create an IoT strategy and to implement it from the early beginning of an MVP to multiple use case implementation. Carl, how can I use Intel technology to optimize these IoT deployments?
So as you know, Intel have a lot of ingredients from the CPU over the FPGA, over storage, and also AI devices for deep learning implementations. And with your solution together on the software side, we can build up a complete system for your end customer, with your end customer, and can help on the deep learning side and also on the optimization on the Intel technologies.
Yeah, and I fully agree with you, Carl, because we already did it together, so it's just an existing story, if I may say. Finally, some of the key features of XIoT for next year. The implementation of 5G connector is definitely one of the first. As we mentioned, the introduction of 5G will change the game, so we have to be present there. The second is related to security, and it is about identity management for devices in order to ensure that the device we are having communication with is the right one and not a fake. And the third topic, which will be in our roadmap, will be about AI implementation for acquisition operation, which means supervising hundreds of thousands of devices. You need some analytics and AI to optimize these kind of activities, because it can become very quickly a nightmare to follow up all the events and all the various activities which are ongoing for each one of these devices. Thank you, everybody, to be sharing some time with us, and hopefully we will be in touch later on.
And thank you also from my side, and Dankeschön.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today's webcast. I want to give a big thanks to our speakers, Thierry Batu of Capgemini and Carl Wachswender of Intel, for their expertise and insights. And thanks especially to you, our listeners, for tuning in. Please be sure to check out the resources section on your console for links to some valuable Capgemini resources. Also, if you'd like to send a question to our speakers, just type it into the Q&A box in your console and press the submit button. We'll get back to you with an answer within a few days. For Capgemini and IDG, I'm Tom Schmidt.